I want to say this, and this is to everybody, every single person that's watching this right now, whether you're watching it live or on replay, we all got to do our part. Everybody. And the problem is that nobody wants to take responsibility, right? Nobody wants to take responsibility. Everybody wants to put on everybody else until it hits you in your house, until it comes to your front porch. And so this is what I want to talk about, man. I'm going to just straight up say this because I'm on the front lines with this. Like, for you guys that don't know, like, I volunteer my time for free to go back to high schools and talk to these kids, right? I just got back from India. I talked to kids. I'm going to Vegas this week. I'm going to a high school to talk to kids. I don't do that for brownie points. I don't do that so people can pat me on the back. I do that because these kids are lost. And I want to say this, man, like, I know a lot of us, we complain about this generation. I don't expect people to stay on this live because some people going to take it like a little bit to heart and they're going to get off of here. But I just ask that you get past your feelings and look at the facts. But I know a lot of us, we complain about this generation. This generation is lost. And let me tell you something. First of all, this generation is the hardest generation to grow up in. But I'm going to tell you why. This generation is lost because we got a lot of lost parents. And I'm just speaking facts. We got a lot of lost people. And lost people are trying to lead people, which end up being lost. We have no leaders. We have no examples, right? The music is failing these kids. The school system is failing these kids. I'm not talking about the teachers because the school system is failing the teachers too, right? Parents are failing these kids. Social media is failing these kids. We, as a collective, we are failing these kids. You know how much it hurts my heart when I go speak to these kids and they pull me to the side with tears in their eyes? And I'm getting passionate about this because I'm probably waking up my neighbors. With tears in their eyes, they come to me and they say, Trent, man, I'm so glad you came here because I never had somebody in my life tell me that I can be something. I never had somebody believe in my dreams. All I had was people that shoot down my dreams, tell me it's not possible, never support me, anything like that. With these kids with tears in their eyes, and we wonder why these kids turn into the streets. We wonder why these kids are going to social media and doing everything else because that's where they get some type of significance from. Even if it's the wrong significance, they get that type of significance because they ain't getting it from their household. And I'm not saying like if the shoe don't fit, don't wear it. But I'm out here speaking to these kids every single day and these kids is lost. These kids don't feel heard. They don't feel seen. That's why they're acting out. That's why crime rates. That's a kid in my city just got killed. A kid that had a bright future just got killed by gun violence. You know why? Because the streets is lying to them. Yeah, all the OGs out there that's still 40 and 50 years old, selling dope, still carrying around pistols and acting hard. That ain't gangster. Ain't none of that gangster. Gangster is raising your kids. Gangster is setting up your kids for success. Gangsters making sure your kids are good, making sure they got the right credit. That's gangster. Taking care of your responsibilities, giving back to your community. That's gangster. We got to change the narrative of this, man, period. Or else, guess what? These things are going to keep on happening. And we're going to act surprised. I'm not surprised because the school system ain't teaching no mental health. The school system ain't teaching conflict resolution. The school system is outdated. The school system ain't telling people how to deal with social media, how to deal with depression, how to deal with anxiety, understanding their self-worth. And we expect kids to just be able to deal with this when adults, we can't even deal with it. And that's the world that we live in. A lot of these parents, man, we so wrapped up into our own wants, into our own stuff that we don't even realize what our kids need. A lot of us parents, we so wrapped up into the cell phone that we don't even realize what our kids need. We ain't paying attention to our kids. I go out to these events. I coach football. I rarely see men there. I see a whole bunch of women there. Yeah. And even that, sometimes I don't even see any parents there that's supporting their kids. The kids look up in the stands, they ain't got no support. And if they do got support, half of the parents acting ignorant. And then we live in a generation where we expect teachers at school to raise our kids. We expect teachers at school to do this and that. And as soon as the teacher holds your kid accountable, you come up to the school acting a fool. And you disrespect authority. And that gives the permission to your kids to disrespect authority too. We are living in a lost generation. And I'm going to tell you what's going to keep on happening. These kids going to keep dying through gun violence. These kids going to keep being on drugs. These kids going to keep dealing with mental health, depression, all of these things. Because as adults, we ain't doing our part. We ain't doing our part. When's the last time you pulled a kid to the side that wasn't even your family? When's the last time you pulled a kid to the side and just had a conversation with a kid? A lot of these kids, man, they got dreams, they got ambitions, but you know what? They don't believe it's possible. So when I pull up on these kids, and not just me, I'm sure it's a lot of people doing great things for the community. But when I pull up in these kids, they see an example. They see an example of a person that's not just a football player, that's not just an entertainer, that's not just a rapper, especially in my community where I come from. That's what they put you in the box as, oh, you only can be a rapper or a football player or a basketball player, right? You sitting in first class, they automatically ask you what team that you play for. But these kids see me, and I tell these kids, you know, I pulled up at a school in Indy. I asked these kids, I said, man, how many of y'all want to be an author? Nobody raised their hand. I said, how many of y'all want to be a speaker? Nobody raised their hand. I said, what if I told you they'll pay you to write a book? What if I told you they'll pay you to go speak? What if I told you you can make a living off of your life? What if I told you with social media, instead of using it to worsen your life, instead of using it as a bad tool, you can use it as a life-changing tool? And they got to see the example in me. I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of these kids, I know people don't get off because people don't want to do their part. And that's why America, that's why this world is so messed up, because everybody worried about their own crap. That's it. Everybody worried about their own stuff. Ain't nobody really helping nobody. Ain't nobody stepping outside themselves. Only time people want to help somebody is when, let me slow down, man. The only time when people want to help somebody is when it benefits them. And that's the problem that we have in this world. We want to turn a blind eye. We want to turn the cheek. We act like we don't want to see anything. And then we complain about why this world is the way why this world is the way that it is. It's the way that it is because you ain't doing your part. It's the way that it is because I'm not doing my part. It's the way it is because nobody is really doing their part to make this world a better place. These kids don't have an example no more. These kids don't have an example no more. They can't look out and see an example because the people that would be an example, they ain't going back to them. And only example they have is their parents that are broken. Only example that they have is social media that's been lying to them. The streets been lying to them, right? Like, that's the world that we live in. And I'm telling you, this is not just me talking. I am in these schools talking to these kids. I'm having 16, 17-year-olds. You know how hard it is for a 16 and 17-year-old to cry? Let's be real. 15 years old coming to me crying. Not just girls, but boys too. Because they ain't got no hope. Because their parents ain't instilling nothing in them. Their parents really setting them up for failure. Their parents is giving them broken tools to try to build a great future. God bless my mother, and I'm thankful for my dad that I never had parents like that. And I understand circumstance. I understand we go through things. But as a parent, you got to put your kid first. You brought them into this world. That's why I fight hard for y'all to know y'all's worth. Hard for y'all with y'all's mental health. Because what we don't heal, our kids will inherit. What we don't heal end up being the things that our kids got to deal with. And these kids are lost. I'm tired of seeing gun violence. I'm tired of seeing drugs. And I'm tired of seeing grown-ass adults. I'm sorry for my French. I'm tired of seeing grown-ass adults, 30, 40, 50 years old, still banging, still talking all that stuff, still talking about how gangster they are when they ain't doing nothing. I'm tired of the music, too. The music, lying to these kids. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And yet these kids are mimicking what they hear in the music. I sound like an old man talking, but mimicking what they hear in the music, and then they are the ones going to jail. They're the ones getting buried before they turn 21 and 22. Because they ain't got no guidance. You know, one of the kids asked me the other day, man, Trent, what should I invest in? And I said, man, that's the most brilliant question I ever heard from a 16-year-old. Because these kids for damn sure ain't learning financial literacy. Let's be real. And man, this bothers me so much. And I'm so passionate about this. And this is just not now. You've been following me for years. You know, I've been talking about these things. Because I see so much greatness in these kids that the world has given up on, right? That the school system has given up on. I'm not saying every school system. I'm not saying every teacher. I'm not saying every parent, because I know there's a lot of great parents, a lot of people fighting for these kids, a lot of teachers. But even for the teachers, man, out there, teachers are underpaid. Teachers are overstressed. These school systems ain't got no free therapy for these teachers that's dealing with these kids that are out of control, that don't know how to handle their emotions, that's bringing their problems in from home to the school. And we failing these kids, man. We failing these kids. The streets been lying to them. Social media lying to them. They favorite people online lying to them. They parents damn near lying to them. We are failing these kids. So the reason I got on this live is to ask you what you gonna do about it. What you gonna do about it? And we get mad at these kids. Oh, these kids are different. Who the teachers? Right? If we complain about this generation, who are the teachers? Who are the teachers? And a lot of you think, oh, I ain't got to worry about that. That ain't my problem. That ain't my issue. It's going to come right to your front doorstep. I'm telling you, just like the whole thing with racism in 2020, right? When we just turned in the blind out of everything and it came right to our doorstep. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if we don't start getting more active with these kids, if we don't start going to the inner city and talking to these kids or your local high school and volunteering and just helping, I do my part as best as I can. Every city I go to, I ask every high school, hey, I'm about to come in there for free and talk to your kids. And it's very hard to go speak to kids because most of them don't want to hear it. But so many of them have put up this brick wall of emotion and trying to be so tough when really inside they just want to be loved. They just want to be heard. They just want to be seen. And so you ain't doing your part. And I'm saying this, and some of y'all might get offended by this, but oh well, you ain't doing your part if you ain't instilling any knowledge in any kids. And what I mean by that, right? You can tell the kids your story. Maybe you made some mistakes. The kids need to learn from that. Maybe you can tell kids, maybe you're good with financial literacy. The kids can learn from that. Maybe you're good with handling your emotions. The kids can learn from that because the school system ain't teaching them that. We've been in the same school system for I don't know how long, learning things that we don't even need and use, but yet we somehow don't have education curriculum courses around self-worth, courses around conflict resolution, courses around how do I deal with social media when people turn against me, courses around understanding your friends, courses around depression, anxiety, how to deal with these things. We don't have that. Maybe some schools do. But every school that I've been to, they don't have that. They don't have that. And there's some teachers out there that actually on their own dime and their own dollar teach courses like that, do after school programs to help these kids. But until we get to a place where we help kids deal with their emotions, because y'all got to understand this, man, we just came out of a pandemic. And a lot of us, we don't even realize how much this pandemic affected us because we haven't processed it yet. This pandemic has affected everybody, you, me, and especially these kids, And what we're doing, what we're seeing now is the result of mental health issues in these kids. And all that's going to happen is it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse if we don't do something about it. If we don't do something about it, you might say, Trent, I don't have any platform. I don't have this. Stop using excuses. You got a voice, right? You got a voice. You might not be able to save all the starfish, right? You might not be able to save all the kids, but you can save one. You can help one. You can mentor one, right? You can pull one aside and say, man, I see the greatness inside of you. A kid, man, in Fort Worth, rest in peace to him, his parents. Heard he was a superstar in my school district. Had a bright future, got gunned down. Gone, 18 years old, probably 17 years old. No longer here. Why? Because these kids want to be hard. These kids want to be tough. And it's not just the kids. That's what they seeing, right? That's what they seeing. That's what they think that's real. That's what they think that's gangster. Nah, we got to change that perception of that. So all y'all 30 and 40-year-old men out there that's still in the street, and listen, I get it. Y'all might feel a certain type of way. You might, I got to do now. You know you don't. Because some of y'all, let me not go there. All y'all 30, 40, 50-year-old men, women too, in the streets, I want to say this, man. You got to find a better way. You too old for that. And you been an example for these kids. You the example for these kids. I'm going to tell you right now, when kids look at me, I'm tatted up, dreaded up, all that stuff. I'm real as they come. But I'm going to tell them one thing. I'm never going to lead them to an early grave. I'm never going to lead them to a prison. Right? I'm going to make sure they look in their life, they look in their mirror, and they see more than just a prisoner. They see more than just a kid that don't have a future. When I get done with them, they're going to see greatness inside them. They're going to know there's opportunity for them. They're going to know that there's more to their life than the box that society tries to put them in. They're going to know that. But a lot of us adults, we ain't doing our damn part. And I said it. And I don't care who unfollow me. I don't care who don't like it. It's the truth. We ain't doing our damn part. That's the problem. Because we ain't working on ourselves. Man, this bothers me so much because I see it. I see it with the kids that I coach. Luckily, not my particular kids. I have great parents, but I see it around youth sports all the time. I see ignorance from parents, right? Cussing out the referees, fighting the coaches, all this stuff. I see them doing it to teachers, adults. And that's the example. And so these kids think it's okay to do it. Because we don't know how to handle our emotions. We don't know how to actually have positive conflict resolution. We got to turn to a gun. We got to turn to fighting all the time. That's what we got to turn to. And so these kids follow that. These kids follow, oh, that's real. I'm real. Right? I'm real. So you talk to me. Now I ain't no punk, so I'm going to shoot you. I'm real. Now we got to fight. And I'm the first one to tell you, I don't believe in being disrespected. But I tell you one thing, I will not be tricked out of my position. I'll tell you one thing, I'm not going to throw my future away to prove a point. You feel me? But we live in a time and an era where everybody want to shoot somebody. Everybody want to beat somebody up. Everybody want to be tough. What tough is. We got a wrong definition of what real is. We got the wrong definition of what gangster is. All that is played out. You know what I mean? Like if you ain't setting your family up for the future, you ain't gangster. It ain't real. If you ain't doing everything you can to make sure that your community is better than how you find it, it ain't real. It ain't gangster. Period. If you ain't doing nothing to better your surroundings, to better yourself, to better your family, to better your community, it ain't real. It ain't gangster. Period. I don't care who say it, who feel a certain type of way about it. It's the truth. It's the truth. We got to change this narrative. And we get so pissed off when people stereotype us. Right? We get so pissed off. And I understand you might say, Trent, my circumstances are bad, this or that. I get all that. But that's no excuse, man, to keep on living a life that you know ain't worth leading anybody to. Ain't worth leading anybody to. And I can tell you for myself, I got it out the mud when it came to building my platform. Ain't nobody give me nothing. Ain't nobody help me do anything. I did it off hard work and consistency for the last 13 years. So I don't want to hear it ain't possible. We live in a world of social media. Some of y'all selling dope. Let me not even go there. We live in a world of social media. All right? And so I just want to tell you that there are better ways to make money. There are better ways to be significant because a lot of these times, man, so many people lack significance. And if y'all realize that most behavior is driven from significance. Most behavior is driven from significance, meaning that, okay, I want to be significant. I want to be somebody. So I'm going to do something negative so I can be somebody. Most of these kids act out because they lack significance. Because they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, they don't feel understood, they don't feel loved. And so what do they turn to? That fake love. They fake homeboys that really don't love them. What do they turn to? The streets. Fake. Streets ain't got no love for you. Facts. What do they turn to? The things that ain't gonna help their life. And I don't blame them, I blame you. I blame me, I blame us. Because ain't nobody going back and teaching these kids what it is. Not too many people. Because why are we worried about our own life? But yet we want to be on social media posting about things, complaining about the world and the world's this or that. But what you doing? What you doing to change it? What you doing to make it better? That's my question. And I can call you out like that because I know what I'm doing. I'm doing my little bitty small part. My little bitty small part. My question is, what are you going to do? because you can't wait for the next man to do what you know needs to be done. You can't wait for the next woman to know what you need to do what you know needs to be done. I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of it, and it's only going to get worse. And I know most people are going to get off this live because they worry about their own damn lives. They really don't care about these kids anyway. That's how it works. You know what I mean? They worry about their own situation. That's why you see the numbers trickle off. Every time I talk about something real that pertains to you doing something to help other people, people get off the live every single time. Every single time. If I'm here talking about, this is bad for you, this person is bad for your life, you stay on here. But when it comes to actually putting in the work, people get off every single time, and I'm tired of it. People don't have no responsibility, no accountability. And that's why this world is like it is. And it will continue to be the same way because none of us want to actually do our part to make the world a better place. We live in a me, a take society. It's all about myself. So for y'all that stayed on here, my question to you is, what are you going to do about it? Go grab a kid that you see and talk to that kid. Mentor that kid. Help that kid. That's what I ask, man. Even if it's just one. Even if it's just one. Do that. But the same people that run when these lives come to be truthful and be real, the same people that run be the same people on social media, be the main ones complaining on their profile feed about, oh, this world is so evil. Oh, these people are so bad. What you doing about it? Yeah, what you doing about it? Oh, these kids, these kids are so bad. This generation is so different. Who the teachers? What you doing about it? So before you offer your opinion, before you put in your commentary about what's bad, what ain't right, what needs to change, before you do any of that, offer a solution with it, or make sure you put an action towards it. Make sure you put an action towards it. Make sure you put an action towards it. We live in a world of social media where everybody want to post about it. Everybody want to talk about this is wrong, this is right, but they ain't doing nothing about it. Ain't doing nothing about it. They just want to put in their commentary, get their significance, right? Argue with people online that you don't even care about anyway, when you can actually do something to make your community better. Do something to make someone else better. Do something to make your own life better. Do something. And I'm not here to pat myself on the back and talk about everything that I do. But I know for a fact I can sleep at night because I know how much I give back. And I've been giving back for years. Years. Ever since I was playing the NFL, I would make sure I give back. I would make sure that kids saw the example in me. That kids saw inspiration in me. They can look at me and say, man, he came from the same place I came from. I can do something. I can be something. And maybe that's not your thing, but maybe you know financial literacy, right? Maybe you know how to deal with anxiety. Maybe you know how to deal with depression. Maybe you know how to deal with, your friends turning on you. Maybe something. But we got to be able to give back. So this was a passionate message for me. I know this wasn't for everybody, but I'm going to keep doing my part. My question is, my ask is that you join with me and do your part with it. You know what I mean? Because the school systems ain't doing their part. And I get it, funding, all that other stuff, cool. But the school systems ain't doing their part. Okay? They're not. Most of them, at least, aren't doing their part. It is what it is. And I get it, lack of funding, lack of resources, lack of staff and teachers. These teachers quitting because they can't handle it, because they ain't getting no support. You know what I mean? They can't get support from nobody. It's like if they tell the kid to sit down, hold the kid accountable, and the parent come up there and cuss them out, then if they don't do nothing, the parent online talking about how can you even protect my kid? We're in a world of like, social media has made this world into like a world of a lose-lose situation. It's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because everybody wants to criticize and everybody wants to put their responsibilities on the next human being. I don't need any human being to raise the kids under my household. I don't need teachers to be accountable for my kids and their actions and expect them to raise my kids. Yes, I want them to teach them. I want them to help them. I want them to better them. But you know what? My kids are being raised in this household. I'm not putting on teachers. I don't expect the coaches that coach them to be able to, raise my kids. That's my responsibility. When I leave this earth, my goal, just like when my mother left this earth, my goal, and I hope some of y'all get this, because man, I don't want to criticize anybody, but some of you need to wake up, okay? Just facts. When my mother left this earth, I told my brother this other day, when she finished running her race of life, she gave us the baton in the lead. You know what I mean? My mother made a lot of sacrifices. So when we got the baton, when it's time for us to carry the family name and the legacy, you know what? I'm not playing catch up my whole life. I'm not spending my whole life trying to recover from my childhood. I'm not, because my mother did her part. You know what I mean? And so I want to make sure to do my part. I'm not a perfect human being. My kids know I'm not a perfect human being, but they know I'm a purposeful human being. And I'm going to do my part as I run this race of life to make sure not only my own kids, but every life I come in contact with, whether it's doing a live like this, whether you meet me in person, whether I coach your kid, whether I speak at a school, whether you read one of our books, listen to my podcast, I'm going to make sure that I leave this world better than how I found it. I'm going to make sure that every life I come across, hopefully I leave it better. I leave them better than they were before they met me, before they encountered me. I'm going to make sure my kids have the tools to build a great future. I'm going to make sure my kids have every tool to be successful. I had somebody tell me the other day, and I'll leave off of this. I had somebody tell me, man, Trent, you do too much for your son. Or you're basically talking about my son. You do a lot for too much. You do too much for your son. I said, man, I don't do enough for my son. Ain't no such thing as too much. If my son got a dream, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he's in the best position possible to make his dream come true. I don't care what sacrifice I have to make. A lot of you haven't seen me on live a lot because I'm making a lot of sacrifice for my family to make sure my 13-year-old son is in the best position possible to be successful for his life. I'm going to do that. I'm going to let go of my own wants, my own needs to make sure he's in the best position possible. I'm going to make sure his credit is right. I'm going to make sure that he got a little bit of money in his bank account when he start life, when he leave this household. And I get everybody's circumstances are different. But a lot of us, we start our kids, like our kids take the baton when they turn 18 and they got to play catch up. Because of our choices, because of our decisions, because of our lack of responsibility. And they playing catch up. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm not just talking about financially. I'm talking about emotionally, preparing my son emotionally. We have these conversations. How do you deal with things? How do you deal with adversity, son? How do you deal with, when your friends might turn their back on you? How do you deal with when your girlfriend break up with you? How do you deal with when the coach might not be playing you? How do you deal when your grades are? How do you deal with these things? Most of these kids in this world are figuring out this stuff by themselves. And how they deal with it is like, I'm going to turn to drugs. I'm going to turn to liquor. I'm going to turn to these streets. I'm going to turn to social media. I'm going to turn to what I've seen online that seems like the best way, but literally really makes my life worse. But they don't know that until it's too late. I have so many kids come up to me that are 25, 26 years old, both sides of the fence, and say, Trent, you don't even remember me, but you came to my high school when I was in a freshman or a sophomore. And what you said really changed my life. What you said really changed my life because it woke me up. And I know what I told them because I tell every high school I go to, this world don't give a damn about you once you turn 18. They probably don't give a damn about you now. And for a lot of you in here, it's about to get really real, real quick. You think that it's cool to play around in school and do all this stuff and, but the world ain't going to care about you. All the things that you think is cool now ain't going to be cool. I've had kids come to me and say, man, Trent, I should have listened to you. That are 26, 27, 30 years old now. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, man, like, I know I talked about a lot. I know this is a very emotional message, but I hope that you hear the passion in my voice and how much this matters, man, because I'm not just talking it. I'm around these kids, man. These kids of this generation, they don't even know how to communicate because they're on their cell phones all the time. These kids don't know how to express themselves. These kids don't know how to deal with adversity. I see it every single day. They don't know how to deal with anything. They internalize everything because they feel like they don't have anybody to talk to. nobody's going to understand or care. You know what I mean? And so to the parents out there, this message isn't to make you be hard on yourself. Only you know if you're doing the best that you can. Right? Only you know that. And the best that you can might not look like someone else's best. But if you can honestly say, man, I'm doing the best that I can to set my kids up for success. And I'm not just talking about financially, but success holistically. Then you're doing your part. But I just feel like so many parents, I know because I'm around these kids, they're missing the mark. You know, I don't see parents at practices no more like that. I don't see parents at games no more. The stands are empty. I don't see it. You know? I remember one of my greatest things was looking up at practice or a game and seeing my dad or my mom there. Knowing that I was supported no matter what. Knowing I was supported no matter what. Maybe it's my choir function, whatever it may be. Right? Maybe it's my dance, my gymnastics. Not my gymnastics, I didn't do gymnastics, but you know what I mean? Like seeing my parents there. And I'll say this, I talked about this on my podcast, man. I'm off of here. Even as parents, it takes, and listen, we all trying to figure this parent thing out. You know what I mean? I'm not a perfect parent. I'm figuring it out every single day, just like you. But I'll tell you this, as parents, it takes more than just being there. Right? It takes more than just being there, because I can even tell you this, like, and I don't want to say, I'm going to use an analogy because some people might be on here that actually knows me with this. So I remember being at a baseball game. Okay. And I'm using an analogy because I don't want to say what it really is. And there were parents there, but the parents weren't present. The parents were talking to each other, which is fine. The parents were on their cell phones while their baby was hitting the ball, while their baby was making plays. They were there, but they weren't present. And I seen kids' eyes, they looked up and wanted acknowledgement for their parents, but their parents wasn't paying attention. We live in a world that's full of distraction, my friend. Right? We live in a world where, in a time where everything is fighting for your attention. And all of us are addicted to this cell phone. Right? We all have the urge to want to pick up our cell phone, even for no reason sometimes. I know I have that urge. Maybe I'm the only one. But every time that I have the urge, I always ask myself this one simple question that I want you to start asking yourself. How can I be more present in this moment? How can I be more present in this moment? Some of you have kids that are now adults, and you can attest to this in the comments. But so many parents, man, miss so many moments that are precious moments because we're not fully present. We might be there, but we're not fully present. And we give our attention to an app. We give our attention to people that like us, people that follow us. But as we do that, we take our attention away from those that truly love us, those that mean the world to us, those that deserve our undivided attention, those that deserve us being fully present, those that deserve us being fully focused on what they're doing. So I just asked everybody on this live tonight, everybody watching this on replay, just find a way. If you don't have kids, find a way when you're around youth to be more present. I mean, even in your life generally, but find a way to be more present. Find a way, because there's nothing worse than knowing you don't have somebody's undivided attention. Right? And there's nothing more powerful knowing that you have somebody's undivided attention. I'm going to tell you, Miss Laura, you're absolutely right, man. These cell phones do have our kids hypnotized, but they got us adults too. It's not just the kids with this, man. It's not just the kids, but it's adults too. But yes, these kids don't know how to communicate anymore. They don't know how to express themselves anymore, because now they can just send a text. Now they just can express how they feel through a text message. And so a lot of these kids have trouble articulating their emotions because they don't have to anymore. And a lot of us adults, are in the same boat. So I know some people might not like this video. Some people might get offended because, you know, you're being sensitive and you're wearing a shoe that wasn't meant for you. But I have to stand on things like this when I have a platform. And I have to put out videos like this when I have a platform because I want to be able to help change the world. And I know we can't change the world if we don't change our youth. And I just feel like we complain so much about this generation, but we never take the time to think, who are the leaders of this generation? Who are the teachers of this generation? It's us. It's us. We laid the foundation. We laid the foundation. And if your childhood was bad, where you're spending a lot of your life recovering from your childhood, that should be even more reason why, as I seen somebody said, it stops with you. It should be more reason why the cycle isn't repeated with your kids, but the cycle is stopped with you and you start something new. You start a new cycle. You break the generational curses, and with you, it starts generational growth. And that's what we need right now. We need to break these generational curses, and we just start generational growth. Like I said in every single video, you know, it all starts with you, man. Share this with somebody if you want to. I didn't come on here for all of that, but like, I just know somebody needs to hear it. And sometimes I just feel like I just be talking like nothing gonna change, but I can't allow that thought process to keep me from trying. You know what I mean? Keep me from trying, because I have a platform and I'm always gonna use my platform to help create change in this world. I want to say this as I get off of here. They need us, man. These kids need us. And I know some of y'all can experience it and you have, but like, it's so hard for me to articulate everything I want to say tonight. But it hurts my heart when I look at these kids face to face. And I have some of the toughest kids in the school, man, get my number, and they break down and cry to me on the phone. They wasn't born cold-hearted. Just circumstances and whatever made their heart that way. Ain't nobody born cold-hearted. But we got to change the narrative of what's real. We got to change the narrative, the word that's, you know, as we use this slang term, what's gangster. We got to change the narrative of that. We got to change all of that. And it starts with the OGs. It starts with the ones that got the respect, right? The ones that they can look at and actually respect and see. It starts with the athletes coming back to their schools. It starts with the people of influence coming back to their schools so they can see you. So they can see you. These kids ain't got no examples no more. And so if you're watching this, I can't come to every school in America. I wish that I could. Anytime you see me in the city, I'm going to be in Vegas this week. And we already got stuff lined up. But anytime you see me in your city, tell your superintendent, tell your school district to reach out to me. If you're in Dallas-Fort Worth, I live here, I'm available to y'all. Because I'm not just saying this and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. But I know I connect with kids in a special way. I know I do. And I know that I can connect with kids in a way that most people can't. So I'm here free of charge. I'm not charging to come speak to a school, a high school. But I'm here. TrentShelton.com, right? Go on there. But again, I can't just fly everywhere because I got a family. But if you ever see me in your city, or definitely if you in Texas or Dallas-Fort Worth area, because this is where I live, tell people to reach out. Because I know I got a message that will at least open the eyes of some. All right? I appreciate y'all. You guys have a beautiful night. Let's get it.